It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunsheen.
All right, it's Chief and Dexter for the Dice Tower coming in to talk about Freedom. Real quick, Dexter, how many people can play Freedom, and how long does it take?
Actually, about 1 to 4 people can actually play this game. It's about 1 to 2 hours as well. Looking by the way the game is set up now, me and Chief actually did not come out on top the way we thought we would. It's actually kind of a strategy game, as you can say.
Oh yeah, it's tough. For those that don't know Dexter, on the audio podcast, Dexter and I did a lot of segments a while ago. We've kind of been intermittent as you've gotten busy with work and school. We're going to try to get some more audio segments in, but he wanted to jump in. He joins me with gaming every once in a while, and we wanted to review Freedom. And I also wanted to get Dexter's perspective, which we'll go into later. Freedom is from Academy Games, and it deals with the Underground Railroad and the freeing of slaves from the South, trying to get them up into Canada. So we'll get in and get my perspective and Dexter's perspective on that in a little bit. But meanwhile, let's go in and I'll take you in and we'll do a closer look of the actual mechanics, and then we'll come back out and we'll chat about it. I wanted to focus a little on the cover just again to look at the wonderful art. This is some of Steve Pachal's work. Great job again, as always. He's always able to capture a very nice feel. We're going to say again, if you've played any game from Academy Games, their quality and their strive for historical accuracy is always there and present, and it's present here as well. I'm zoomed out a little bit just to show the entire board. This is all actually part of the same board. So your setup phase here with these cards, this is all connected. What you have obviously is plantations. You have the south in green, the north is in the blue. You're trying to get the slaves from the plantations all the way to the north. These lovely wood chunky tokens are slave catchers. They're the bad fellas. Over here is your slave market. These are slaves that are going to end up being, you'll have to fit them into these plantations, and if you don't, you're going to lose them, and they end up going up on your lost track board here. Everybody that goes to Freedom gets placed in here, like this little fellow's made it to Freedom. And then depending on the amount of people playing, Dexter and I played a 2-person game, and then the board, it can be flipped. So in this case, we need to free 10 slaves in order to win, and we're going to lose if we lose 16 slaves, which we did. Real quick to explain what's going on here. This is where a lot of your historical all your historical stuff is going to be in these cards here. And you're going to have 3 different eras. You're going to start off 1800 to 1839. You're going to move to 1840 to 1859, 1860 to 1865. And let me start by telling everybody again, this is a cooperative game. You can play it with 1, but it can go up to 4. The way you're going to win the game is there's 8 different auction cards here, and that's a timer for the game. When you've resolved the last of the 8 cards, when it comes down here and the slaves get placed into the plantation, the game is over. And in order to win, you have to do several things. You're going to have had purchased all of these support tokens here, which are in each era. I'm going to come back to those in a second. You're going to have freed the number of slaves, which is recorded on this here, and they're going to be tracked here. And you've got to do it, even if you're in the 8th round, you're going to have to do this all before the completion of that 8th card. And once that turns over, if you haven't done those things, you're going to lose. But you'll also lose if too many of your slaves are lost and end up on your lost card there. One of the real nice things about these different eras is when you begin the game, you're going to be in the 1800 to 1839 era. These little tokens here, which I'll zoom in on a little bit, are actually the conductor tokens that are going to allow you to move the slaves off the plantation and get them moving up and around through the map. You can see as you move on to the other eras, not only are there multiple choices, but their movement actions get better. And then down here is going to be, it's like a money token where you're going to manage to get yourself paid. When you purchase a support token, it's going to immediately open up the next era for you. the arrow is also tied to the cards, and the cards that are already in the queue here will stay, but you'll then start to draw off of the new queue when required. The support token is actually going to cost you $10 in each era. But you can see if you have this one, you're going to be able to move 3 slaves on the board over here, and you're going to be able to move them 1 spot. I'll get in and walk you through how that works out. But you can see as you move into the next era, now you can move 4 up to 1, or you have the choice of moving 2 spaces. You're going to have a player reference card that's going to hold the persona of the character that you're playing, in this case the conductor and the preacher. And you have a card that's going to be 2-sided that also allows you to have special little things you can do based on the persona that you're playing. And this also just runs you through turn order as you go. This is the area where you can take, when you buy these lighter bluish or whiter based cards, they actually go into your reserve and you can use them at your whim. Some of the other roles, you've got an agent, stockholder, a shepherd, and a station master. I'm not going to go into all their roles, but you're supposed to draw them randomly. And again, it adds to some of the special, unique things that you can do. And it teaches you, again, some of the historical perspective of what these folks did when they were doing these things in real life. Also, I forgot to say, I always love to give the designer some credit, and I don't think I mentioned his name early on. Brian Mayer is the designer. Well done, sir. It's a very difficult subject to capture. And to do it right and professionally done. All right, we're back. One thing I love about Freedom, first of all, Academy games, their quality is always top notch, and I love the historical feel for all of their games, and that's present here as well. The cards bring a lot of history to life. The map is perfect. I remember, I've even studied some things on the Underground Railroad, so I love that. This is a heavy theme though, and I have played with some people. They're not comfortable with the whole slavery fact. Even though you're freeing the slaves, there's slave catchers moving around on the board trying to catch you. Obviously, you'll have a unique perspective to this, Dexter. What are your thoughts as a game? Does it work for you as a game?
It actually does. Not a bad game at all. We was chatting about it earlier. I thought more of the movie Roots would actually describe the actual game, especially one of the comments that Chief actually made about basically some of the boat rides that they had during the movie. Basically, the column over here to the right actually kind of explains. Looks like slaves are actually coming in.
And they're up for auction.
Up for auction, yes. So that's another thing that, I don't think it's a bad game at all. I can see myself playing it with family. Wouldn't be probably more of like a friendly family game. Not a family, but friend game, sorry.
Yeah. Did you find it, I've literally had some people, I'm just going to say it, some white people I've played with have found it, they think it's offensive. Do you find it offensive based on the theme of freeing slaves?
I don't think it's offensive at all. That's just me. I play a lot of games. This game here is just another game that's laid out. Just put a little bit more strategy into it. So,
I'm sensitive to the topic, and I didn't feel it as much because it's not like you're playing a slave catcher. I would be very offended if you were playing a slave catcher trying to track down slaves and return them to slavery. This is the reverse. I also talked to a coworker of mine, someone that's actually above me in rank, who's also African American. I mentioned it to him, and he wasn't comfortable with it. The only thing that made him a little bit more comfortable was Black Heritage Foundation actually puts out a game, not to this heavy strategy level. It's more of an educational game rather than a strategy game, but it also teaches about the Underground Railroad and what happened. And I think this does that, and that got him to relax a little bit. I think the term game offended him. He didn't think it should be game-like, but he's also not a gamer, so I kind of explained to him what we were looking at. But the theme really does work, and I've got to tell you, one thing I like about theme, Dexter knows this, is I want to feel kind of like I'm in it. And we had a problem where we had a bad orange card come up, or a red card, and we couldn't move any of our guys that were up north, any of the slaves we were trying to get to freedom. And it really blocked us up, and we had one of the slave auction, slave for sale cards come up. and we couldn't get the guys off the plantation. And man, we just started losing them left and right. And I got to tell you, I'm sitting there like, you know, you really want to get them off and get them to freedom. How many guys we get to freedom?
One guy actually. It was. That's why I say it's more of a strategy game.
That was Dexter's fault.
I wouldn't say that. I'm actually a master at this, and I didn't want to come off too strong by being a professional slave runaway. So
there you go.
I did what I actually could.
He's like the male Harriet Tubman. You just freeing everybody.
We can do that. We can run with that. So. I think I mean, it's not a bad game at all. I actually loved it. I think I could play it again. I would rather play with more people. So when we rolled the dice, it could actually come out with a better ending.
Yeah.
But
we played with just two, and you definitely get more help when you've got, you know, the other abolitionist cards in there and their special abilities helping you out. Because we both had kind of money-making phases, and I think we would have been good if we would add some more movement phases.
Focus more on the movement.
All right, so overall, not offensive to you.
No,
it's not offensive to me at all. Again, this is freedom. I mean, and it's true life. This isn't made up. This is true. If anything, it makes it more real to me of what happened then and the struggle that was going on to get people out of slavery. So, I mean, the cards are great. They had, what was the box, a guy named Henry Box Brown. I knew about this guy. It's the guy that actually loaded himself up in a shipping crate and ended up north and, you know, had some friends that were waiting for him as a package, and he's freed. And that's in here, and explains some of the history to it. And then you get to take an action that's similar to what he did in real life. So
that's actually a good thing about the cards as well, actually throwing facts into the game. So it's history as well. So
there you go. All right, so it's Chief and Dexter doing his first video. Sorry, go ahead, Dexter.
No, you fine. Go ahead.
I stepped on him. And Dexter. So doing his first video. We'll try to get him in on a few more. He really wants to do Ticket to Ride video because that's his favorite game.
Yeah, plus I want to show them how you got whooped actually in that. So we probably end up playing that before we do the review on that, so they'll know exactly how to end up. They can look at the expression on your face and actually see who lost. So
I'm going to clean Dexter's clock and Ticket to Ride.
He never does.
All right, it's Chief and
Dexter.
See you guys later. Dice Tower out. Dice Tower out. I've never said that in my life. What am I saying? Dice Tower out.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.